And then it happened, book number 7, chapter 8, Buttons the dog. Buttons the dog, said Gordon with disdain. Who would actually name a dog Buttons? Gordon, Paul and I were at the mall in town, looking at the public bulletin board for easy jobs that would make us some money. We dreamed of finding jobs that would pay us to test new computer games or try out new fishing lures or something equally fun. But all we found were jobs cutting grass, washing windows, and other equally hot and dirty work. That's when Gordon spied the job of dog walking. Someone was needed to walk Buttons the dog on Monday while his owner was out of town. The job paid $25. $25 just to walk a dog? Now that's my kind of job, said Gordon, smiling. He took the notice down from the board and we went to the nearby payphone to dial the number. After 4 rings, an elderly-sounding man picked up the phone and said, "Yes?" "Hello," said Gordon in his most responsible voice. "I'm calling about your ad for a dog walker." "Oh, yes," replied the man. "I need someone to walk my dog for me on Monday while I'm out of town. My sister will come over and feed Buttons, but she's old and not up to walking him, even though he's a real gentle dog and wouldn't hurt a flea." "Well," said Gordon, "my friends and I have lots of experience with pets. Last summer, we watched our neighbour's cat, and we're all dog lovers." "Then the job is yours," said the old man. "I live in the greenhouse at 14 Grey Street, and I'll leave the key in the mailbox. All you have to do is come over at noon on Monday and walk Buttons around the block. His leash and collar are on the hook by the back door." "That's great," said Gordon. "We'll be happy to walk Buttons for you." He said goodbye and hung up the phone. "The job's all ours," declared Gordon as he left the phone booth. "We walk Buttons on Monday at noon. The guy lives in a grey house at 14 Green Street." Just before noon on Monday, Gordon and Paulo met me at my house and we headed over to 14 Green Street. We found the grey house about halfway down the street, and just as the old man had said, the key was in the mailbox. We let ourselves in the front door and saw no sign of Buttons. Gordon knelt down and called, "Here, Buttons! Come on, boy, we're going to take you for a walk." "Here, Buttons!" I cried. And then it happened. Our only warning was a deep, rumbling growl from somewhere in the basement. And then, bounding up the basement steps right towards us came the biggest, meanest looking, most ferocious dog I'd ever seen. Gordon, Paul, and I instantly turned and dove back through the front door, slamming it shut just as the huge beast lunged towards us. The 3 of us fell on the front porch in a tangled heap. Inside, we could hear the dog ramming against the door, trying to get at us. "Poor Buttons," gasped Gordon. "That monster of a dog must have gotten into the house and somehow and eaten little Buttons." "Gordon, you idiot," yelled Paulo. "That dog is Buttons. No wonder the old guy's paying so much to have someone come and walk his dog." "Oh, that dog will kill us," I moaned. "What are we going to do?" "I don't know about you guys," said Gordon, "but I want my share of that $25. And if we don't walk Buttons, we won't get paid." "But I don't want to get eaten alive in the process," I argued. "Look on the bright side," grinned Gordon. "If you are eaten alive, my share of the $25 will be much bigger." Sometimes I wonder why I'm friends with Gordon at all. We returned the key to the mailbox and biked back to my house to think of a plan. "There has to be some way to walk that dog and not get bit," said Gordon. Suddenly he snapped his fingers. "I've got it," he said triumphantly. "Guys, let's get our hockey equipment and gear up." Although it was a blistering hot July day, Gordon, Paul and I suited up with all our padding, helmets, plastic protectors and gloves. On our feet, we wore heavy socks and winter boots for protection. Grabbing some extra heavy ropes from the garage, we walked to Green Street and prepared to do battle with Buttons. We arrived hot and sweaty at the Grey House. Taking a moment to catch our breath and gather our courage, we made 3 lassos out of the heavy rope we had brought. Our plan was to open the door, call Buttons, and lasso him around the neck when he lunged at us. I turned the key in the lock and quietly opened the door. Buttons was nowhere in sight. "Here, Buttons. Nice dog," I called out. With saliva dripping from his jaws, Buttons roared out of the basement and charged up the stairs. I stepped back, and as the beast lunged towards us, Gordon and Paulo threw their lassos with all their might. They went right around they went right around the dog's thick neck. With Buttons somewhat distracted, I was able to get my lasso around him as well. We figured that with 3 ropes on Buttons, we would be able to control him. We figured wrong. Buttons just fought harder. The only thing that saved us was our hockey equipment. Buttons took turns attacking each of us while the other 2 struggled to pull him off. Our walk took on a strange rhythm. Bite, fight, walk. Bite, fight, walk. Until we had finally circled the block a single time. It took 1 hour. It was the hardest $25 we had ever earned. Under my hockey pads, I could feel large bruises beginning to swell. It took another 15 minutes of fighting and struggling to get the lassos off Buttons. We finally succeeded and slammed the door shut behind us. The next morning, Gordon, Paul and I biked over to 14 Green Street to collect our money for walking Buttons. Gordon rang the bell and he waited for the old man to answer it. To our surprise, the door was opened by a young man. "Can I help you?" he said. We're here to collect our money for walking Buttons yesterday," said Paulo. "Buttons?" asked the man in a puzzled tone. "Your, dog?" Paulo reminded him. "My dog? You mean Sledgehammer?" he asked. "Sledgehammer?" I repeated. "You mean that thing that tried to kill us wasn't Buttons?" The man laughed. "Buttons? What a silly name for a dog." "Well, didn't you hire us to walk your dog yesterday?" asked Gordon. "Why would I do that?" he asked. "We were told to come to the Grey House at 14 Green Street and to walk a dog named Buttons. The key was on the mailbox and everything," explained Gordon. "Oh, I see," said the man. "People are always making the same mistake. I think maybe you boys wanted the Green House at 14 Grey Street. That's 2 blocks over, and I believe the man there does own a little dog. He's very friendly. I'm sure he'll be no trouble at all to walk." Chuckling to himself, he closed the door. End of chapter.